Thinking of Volkswagen? Think again. These 5 classic VWs aren't the ones you see every day. They're rare, wild, and way cooler than you'd expect. Stick around, because number 1 will blow your mind. Number 5, Volkswagen Beetle GSR, a sporty bug with attitude. We start our list with a car that looks familiar, but has a bold twist. It's the Volkswagen Beetle GSR. Now, you've seen the regular Beetle before: friendly face, round shape, simple design. It was never meant to be fast or sporty. But in 1973, Volkswagen decided to change that. They created a special edition called the GSR, short for Gelb-Schwarze Renner, which means yellow-black racer in German. And yes, it looked just as wild as it sounds. The GSR had a bright yellow body with black stripes on the hood and sides. It also had black bumpers and a rear spoiler, making it look more like a rally car than a daily driver. Inside, it had sport seats, a special steering wheel, and firmer suspension for better handling. Under the hood, it had a 1.6-liter engine with 50 horsepower. Not a lot, but enough to make this Beetle feel more alive on the road. Only 3,500 GSRs were made, and most were sold in Europe. It was never available in the US, which is why many people outside Germany have never seen one. Today, the GSR is a rare collector's item, and proof that even the friendly Beetle had a sporty side. Coming from a bright yellow racer, we now head into totally different territory. A strange little truck that was built to work hard in some of the world's toughest places. Number 4, Volkswagen EA489 Basistransporter, the boxy workhorse. This next Volkswagen is probably the oddest one on the list. It's called the EA489 Basistransporter. And just looking at it, you'd never guess it was made by the same company that built the stylish Beetle. It looks more like something a child would draw with a ruler. In the 1970s, Volkswagen wanted to build a low-cost vehicle that could be used in developing countries. It needed to be tough, easy to fix, and cheap to build. The result was the EA489 Basistransporter, a flat-faced, boxy utility vehicle that looked more like a tin can on wheels. It was built on a simple ladder frame and powered by a 1.6-liter air-cooled engine, the same one used in the Beetle. It didn't have any fancy features. No radio, no air conditioning, and very few curves. But that was the idea. Keep it basic so it could be repaired anywhere, even in the middle of nowhere. These trucks were made in small numbers and sold in places like Mexico, the Philippines, Nigeria, and Pakistan. In each country, they were built slightly differently to match local needs. Some were pickups, others were delivery vans. It was never sold in Europe or the US, which is why it stayed under the radar. But for many businesses and farmers in developing countries, the Basistransporter was a lifeline, a true workhorse that never asked for much. From a rough, simple work truck, let's now jump into something totally unexpected, an off-road version of the Golf. Number 3, Volkswagen Golf Country, the tiny off-roader. You probably know the Golf as a small, practical hatchback, great for city driving and getting good gas mileage. But in the early 1990s, Volkswagen surprised everyone by turning it into a rugged off-road vehicle. That's how we got the Volkswagen Golf Country. At first glance, it looks like a regular Golf that got lost on a hiking trail. But it's much more than that. Volkswagen teamed up with an Austrian company called Steyr-Daimler-Puch, the same company that helped build the Mercedes G-Wagon, to create a lifted four-wheel drive version of the Golf MK2. The Golf Country sat higher off the ground, had off-road bumpers, bull bars, skid plates, and even a spare tire mounted on the back. It had a 1.8-liter engine, synchro all-wheel drive, and a 5-speed manual transmission. It wasn't built for hardcore rock climbing, but it could handle rough dirt roads, snow, and light trails with no problem. It was perfect for people who wanted a car that could do everything, from city streets to country paths. Volkswagen only made about 7,700 of them, mostly for the European market. It was never sold in the US, which is why it's so rare today. But the idea behind the Golf Country was way ahead of its time, combining car comfort with SUV toughness. In many ways, it predicted the crossover SUVs we see everywhere today. Now let's switch gears again, from off-road power to smooth, upscale style. Our next car is a forgotten luxury coupe that Volkswagen quietly made in the 1960s. Number 2, Volkswagen Type 34 Karmann Ghia, the forgotten luxury VW. Most people know the original Karmann Ghia, the small, curvy car that shared its parts with the Beetle but looked much sportier. But Volkswagen made a second version that was bigger, sharper, and more luxurious. It was called the Type 34 Karmann Ghia. Made between 1961 and 1969, the Type 34 was based on the Type 3 platform, which gave it more room and a different engine layout. The design was more modern, with clean lines and square headlights, a big change from the rounded style of the original. This car came with some surprising features for its time, like electric windows, optional sunroof, and more comfortable seating. It was aimed at customers who wanted something stylish and refined, but still reliable and affordable like a VW. However, the Type 34 was never sold in the US, and it was more expensive than most Volkswagens. Because of that, it didn't sell in big numbers. Fewer than 45,000 were ever made, and most stayed in Germany or nearby countries. Today, it's one of the rarest air-cooled Volkswagens. Even many car fans have never seen one in person. But it shows that Volkswagen wasn't just about basic transportation. Sometimes they aimed for something a bit more high-end. And speaking of stylish, our last car might be the best-looking VW ever made. And it didn't even come from Germany. Number 1, Volkswagen SP2. Brazil's beautiful sports car. The Volkswagen SP2 looks like a sports car from Italy, low, long, and sleek. But it wasn't built in Europe. It was designed and made in Brazil, just for the Brazilian market between 1972 and 1976. At the time, Brazil had strict import rules, so people couldn't easily buy foreign sports cars. That gave VW Brazil the idea to build their own. The result was the SP2, a car that looked fast and expensive, even though it was based on old Beetle parts. The SP2 had a fiberglass body with smooth lines, pop-up headlights, and a low roof. It looked like it was ready for the racetrack. But under the hood, it had a 1.7-liter air-cooled engine that made about 65 horsepower. So yeah, it looked fast, but it wasn't. Still, people didn't mind. Brazilians were proud to have a home-built sports car. The SP2 became a symbol of style and creativity in Brazilian car culture. Only around 10,000 were ever made, and very few left the country. That makes it very rare and valuable today. If you ever see one at a car show, take a good look. You're looking at one of the most beautiful Volkswagens ever. And one of the least known. Military metal bonus, Volkswagen XL1. The car from the future, 200 words. Before we end the video, here's one more Volkswagen that's too strange to leave out, the Volkswagen XL1. This car wasn't made decades ago. It came out in 2013, but it's already a rare collector's item. The XL1 was made to be the most fuel-efficient car in the world. It was a tiny two-seat diesel-electric hybrid with a super-light carbon fiber body. It looked like something from a science fiction movie. Low, narrow, and aerodynamic. It could drive over 300 miles per gallon, which is just insane. But it wasn't cheap to make. Only 250 cars were ever built, and most were sold in Europe. The XL1 shows that Volkswagen is always experimenting. Sometimes with style, sometimes with power, and sometimes with futuristic ideas. Outro, 150 words. So there you have it. 5 Volkswagen classics you've probably never heard of, plus 1 futuristic bonus. From the sporty Beetle GSR to the sleek SP2. These cars show how much variety VW has packed into its history. Some are made for fun, others for hard work. Some were built in Germany, others in Brazil or the Philippines. But they all share one thing. They were different, bold, and often forgotten. Which one was your favorite? The lifted Golf Country? The boxy Basistransporter? Or maybe the beautiful SP2? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next hidden gem we uncover. Thanks for watching Regal Rides, where we bring forgotten classics back to life, one car at a time.